You should not be underestimating someone who has any experience in wrestling, even though you think you're so well versed, Islam Makhachev, in wrestling. You have to give the guy his respect when it comes to the ground game. You can't just go in there and think that you're going to absolutely smash the guy like he's thought he's going to do against all of his other fighters. Woo! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoop Show, where we cover all MMA content. And today, once again, we're going to be going over and giving our official predictions on Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. There's so many things on the line in this fight. You have Islam Makhachev putting his belt on the line. You have Alexander Volkanovski fighting for the pound-for-pound #1 still and defending that kind of sort of title. And I just think overall there's a lot on the line on this fight in particular. Not only that, but, we don't get to see a lot of champ versus champ fights for a belt. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity to possibly bet on the fight. Now, obviously, Islam Makhachev has a big wrestling background, and Alexander Volkanovski has a big striking game as well as somewhat of a ground game. One detail that I think is kind of getting overlooked on when it comes to this ground game and how Islam Makhachev is going to be so freaking dominant. He's going to be so freaking dominant on top, right? He's going to be the best freaking grappler we've ever seen, and he's going to dominate Alexander Volkanovski. Well, all I've got to say to that is look at Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Bring up the picture of Brian Ortega freaking fully submitting Alexander Volkanovski. It looked like he was done. He freaking got out. Everybody counted him out. He was in the middle of the ring. There was plenty of time left on the clock in the round, and he got out. That is my key factor on why I think Alexander Volkanovski is probably going to take this fight. Not only that, there's a lot of other reasons. Number one, I'm just kind of a little bit of more of a fan of his. I've been following him a little bit longer, but that's just, when it comes to me being biased, that's why. But I also have a lot of respect for Islam Makhachev. He has an absolutely great ground game and work ethic. Seeing both of these guys and following both of these guys train for this fight in particular, I think both of them are training the hardest that they have ever trained for any single fight.
So I've been grinding lately. Had to go back to the fucking lab.
And just that alone, I think, shows a lot about where these guys are mentally and what these guys are trying to achieve in this sport of MMA. Now, apparently, Alexander Volkanovski has been and was a national wrestling champion in Australia. If that is true, I think that goes to show that you should not be underestimating someone who has any experience in wrestling, even though you think you're so well versed, Islam Makhachev, in wrestling. You have to give the guy his respect when it comes to the ground game. You can't just go in there and think that you're going to absolutely smash the guy like he's thought he's going to do against all of his other fighters. Now, I respect the confidence, but I think that there is and comes a time to where it becomes overconfidence and it becomes a little bit of cockiness. And obviously, he could be, Islam Makhachev could be doing that for just entertainment purposes and trying to boost the hype of the fight. But I do think it's a little one-sided when it comes to who is going to be predicted the winner of this fight. And I think a lot of people, I've said it before, are going for Islam Makhachev. And in my opinion, it's a lot more even of a fight than it is just completely one-sided. Yes, I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to win, but easily, I think Islam Makhachev could win as well. It's 50-50 in my eyes. In other people's eyes, I feel like it's 75% to 80% to 90% chance that Islam Makhachev is going to win, and about like 20 to 10% that Alexander Volkanovski is going to win. A big thing that was kind of in my head is sometimes people, when they see an up-and-coming fighter and they see him do the most unthinkable things, he gets put on this pedestal that nobody can beat him. And eventually, they face someone that gives them a challenge or unexpectedly does things that they were not expecting and ends up beating the fucking shit out of them. I'm not here saying that Islam Makhachev is going to get his ass whooped, but I'm saying both of these guys are going to whoop each other's ass probably an equal amount, in my opinion. It's going to be a fucking war. Now, Islam has been on some recent interviews leading up to this fight this week, and he's basically said that every single fight he's had, when in the first round or in the first few minutes of the fight, every single fighter that he faces crumbles after they feel his pressure and they feel his power. Now, I can guarantee you that that has happened for him before. I'm not going to say that hasn't happened. I guarantee you there were some guys that underestimated him and thought they had somewhat of a good ground game and completely got mollywopped when they actually got in there and figured out this dude is different. On the other hand, you have Alexander Volkanovski, who on the feet has given Max Holloway the biggest challenge and biggest defeats of his career when no one else thought it was. I think Alexander Volkanovski not only has somewhat of that Islam Makhachev power, but he also has a speed and quickness and explosiveness that Islam Makhachev does not have. And I think that alone can really make a good matchup between these two. Now, Alexander Volkanovski actually responded to that comment, and Alexander Volkanovski himself said, even if I do feel that way, I am not going to quit. I am not going to crumble. And that reason alone really makes me think that this is going to be more of a fight of the brain than it is the body. Just for the fact that these guys are pushing themselves to places they've probably never been before mentally. They're doing things they probably never done in training camp. And that fact alone, to me, is just going to be who either gives up first or who's going to put it all out on the line more come fight night on Saturday night. Another thing, and I'm already smiling just saying this because it just seems like the biggest bullshit. Islam Makhachev himself is also saying that he's going to stand up with Alexander Volkanovski. He's not going to go for the takedown right away. And let me tell you why I think that's a load of bullshit. Just look at all of his other fights. They speak for themselves. Yes, he has good stand-up game, but you would have to be the dumbest fighter in the world to stand up all 5 rounds with Alexander Volkanovski after watching him against Max Holloway 3 fucking times. Just hearing that from Islam Makhachev makes me think he's definitely somewhat insane in the head. And in this sport, you've got to be. But in my opinion, that's just a whole lot of bullshit, just trying to maybe put Alexander Volkanovski on his feet and kind of really wonder where Islam Makhachev is going to try and take the fight. In my opinion, it's going to go to the ground, but honestly, if he shows a little bit of good strikes on the feet, he might feel a little bit more comfortable and say, oh, I feel a little bit more comfortable than I thought on the feet going against this guy Volk. Maybe I can stand up here a little bit longer. Or maybe he just tries and plans his game a little bit longer on the feet. And then when he does go for the shot, because they've been on the feet for so long, he might catch Alexander Volkanovski off guard, and he might end up getting a really easy takedown. Volkanovski himself even said that's a whole lot of shit. And just looking at the facts, I highly doubt Islam Makhachev is going to try and stay all 5 fights or even the majority of the fight on the feet. I guarantee you he's going to try and bring this fight to the ground. Another thing that Alexander Volkanovski said on that side of the fight, he also said that he's going to be talking in the cage to Islam Makhachev. He's going to be saying, oh, I got you there, got you with the combo there. He's going to let him know. And I think that is fucking brilliant. I'm going to be so excited and just jumping on the fucking everything. I'm going to be so hype if that actually happens, just because it's like a slap in the face mentally going up against a guy like Islam Makhachev. It's a little, hey, you thought you were good? Boom! Now you're not, bitch! Now, one last thing I really want to talk about before we go into the betting of this fight. I really do think that Islam and this weight cut might have, not the biggest effect on him, but usually if we were to be in just the 155-pound division and Islam Makhachev was fighting someone in the 155-pound division, that other guy is going to also have to do a weight cut. Alexander Volkanovski is coming up from 145 and has been only bulking and eating a shit ton. So, he might have to do a weight cut or, cut some water weight the day of the weigh-ins, but Islam Makhachev has to do a weight cut for a week and a half leading up to that fight night. When these guys do weight cuts, they deplete every ounce, every little drop of water that they have in their body to cut down to that 155-pound range. And I just think going into the fight, I think a lot of the times when you see a fighter off his game or it wasn't his night. I think that is a big reason because of these weight cuts. And I'm not saying Islam Makhachev is 100% going to be affected by this weight cut. I'm just saying, he could catch that off night where that weight cut affected him a lot more. And, Alexander Volkanovski might capitalize on that. And just those sort of factors, I think that, when Alexander Volkanovski can capitalize on something, that's something he's going to be thinking about training. And, leading up to this week, he's going to see how Islam Makhachev is in the weigh-ins. He's going to try and dictate how his energy levels are, especially leading up into the fight. Whether it affects Islam a lot, I think that's obviously up to Islam, but I think it is a thing to think about when betting on this fight. All right, so as you guys can see here, we've got DraftKings. No, we are not sponsored by them. Obviously, we only have 68 subscribers. Shout out, if you want to make it 69, feel free. But as we scroll down here, we're getting into the main card. Where is it? Here it is. Islam Makhachev, Alex Pereira. Oh, yeah. Now, some people might fight on the fight lines or the winning method or the fight parlays. I'm not about that. I'm about the easy money line. Islam Makhachev is a negative 380 and Alexander Volkanovski is a 310. Now, if you guys haven't heard me talking about Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev for this fight a lot, I've kind of favored Islam Makhachev in some aspects and I've kind of favored Alexander Volkanovski in some aspects. Obviously, with me being biased, I'm leaning towards Alexander Volkanovski. It's that fucking simple. So with this one, I gotta go Alexander Volkanovski. I only have $5 in my account. We're not rich over here, but we're doing it. Total payout, $20.50. I'm quadrupling my money basically just by doing this. I might have to actually add another $20 or something because, that's not a bad money line right there. Plus 310, like, come on. Place bet. $5, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully I don't have to blur anything out. You guys can see it. Bet placed, plus 310. Wager amount, $5. Total payout, $20.50. Done. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to go put a bet on DraftKings if you want, or on FanDuel, or on any of the other MGM, whatever the fucking betting apps they have out there. Gambling, I'm not supporting it. 1-800-GAMBLER, whatever that is. If you guys have a gambling problem, go out and, fix that yourself.
I'm in trouble. Can you help?
I'm glad you called. We can help.
With that, though, that is going to be the end of this video. Whether you guys think Islam Makhachev is going to win or Alexander Volkanovski is going to win, let me know. I double dog dare you. That's right. When's the last time you heard somebody double dog dare you to fucking let me know? If you guys also want, feel free to hit that subscribe button or hit that like button. Either one, I really appreciate. More or less, I would kind of appreciate the subscribe more, obviously. Do not forget to tune in to the watch party tomorrow, Saturday, 10 p.m. Be there or be square right here on this channel. Woo!